It's trash day, I'm putting you out, it's trash day. Putting you out, it's trash day. Putting you out of my mind. It's trash day, I'm putting you out, it's trash day. I'm putting you out, trash day, I'm putting you out of my mind. Now I'm gonna clean up, now I'm gonna clean up, now I'm gonna clean up the house. I'm taking all your garbage, taking all your garbage, taking all your garbage.
It starts with some beer, so you shouldn't have fear. Two garbage guys with facts, but they both still have tact. It's that time at last for the best damn podcast. It's Can Crusher Day.
You better believe it. It's that time of the week again. It's time for Can Crusher Spotlight. And this episode gets a little bit crazy as I sit down with probably one of my closest friends in the wrestling business, Hardcore Daniel Hooven. And this is fun. We throw some punches at each other about some jokes, and we learn some stuff about Hooven that we don't know. Or at least you don't know. And if you read the description, now you might know a little bit. But just sit back, relax, and enjoy this interview with the current IWC High Stakes Champion, Daniel Hooven. But first, let me tell you about Collar and Elbow. New merch is now out on collarandelbow.com. Go and check it out. You hear myself and the English professor talk about these shirts all the time. They are great. They're comfortable. They are just made so well. Collar and Elbow, it's wrestling gear for the wrestling fan. And if you guys have been listening, you heard, Can Crushers has just made a move into a new house, into a new studio and everything. I am crying. I have to now reach out to Al Snow and the Collar and Elbow group because in the move, I lost my Collar and Elbow hoodie. My black and white Collar and Elbow hoodie just disappeared. Now, I'm not pointing fingers at my wife, but she was the only one that packed the clothes. So nonetheless, it's time for me to get some new Collar and Elbow merch as well. Go to collarandelbow.com. Check out all their merch. It's great. They're one of our big sponsors, and we always mention them on air. When you check out, make sure you type in Can Crushers, capital C in Can, capital C in Crushers, and you'll get 10% off of your entire order. You'll also help out our podcast as well, as some money is kicked back to us that we always want to tell you guys that. If it's $1 or whatever, depending on what you buy, is what is kicked back to us. So go out, get some great apparel, and help support Can Crushers so I can get a new hoodie. All right, Al Snow's going to come on with his commercial, and then we're going to slide right into Dan Hooven's DMs.
Wrestling. A love and a passion we all share. I've started a wrestling brand. The wrestling brand. A brand founded on the aspects of wrestling. Two entities working together to create a product that connect emotionally for people everywhere. Collar and Elbow is the brand. Passion and love for wrestling is the drive. I am Al Snow, and this is Collar and Elbow, the wrestling brand.
And welcome back to Can Crusher Spotlight. I am elated to have this man back on the show because he was on a year ago kind of doing a wrap-up about one of his matches that he got screwed over in. But now it's time to have the reigning, defending, undisputed, high-stakes champion for IWC. He is the Asian sensation, Mr. Dan Hooven. Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mark, thanks for having me, and thanks for that kind introduction. I loved it.
Good. It's all true. You are the high stakes champion right now.
This is true.
What does this championship mean to you? Before we get into the real interview, what's the high stakes? What's that mean?
Oh, it means everything to me. I know they brought it back about 2 years ago, and for somebody like myself, I'm not a super indie guy. I'm not a true heavyweight by height or weight, at least by the books. So this was an opportunity to compete over a championship that not only meant something to the company, but I think it defines the person defining it holds it. RC was more kind of a thinking man's champion, and whether or not I agree with how he thought about keeping it, he kept it for for a long time. For about 8 months, he kept it, not by the most honest means, but you look at somebody like Chess Flexer, who kind of made it his own with his own unique brand and personality, and now it's on to me. And I think it's no big secret, I'm a big fan of the hardcore wrestling from South Philly originally. That's a legitimate hometown. So it means that I have an opportunity to carve my niche into the IWC history books, but also add a different dimension to the event that may not be there. You never know what I'm going to say when I grab that microphone. Sometimes I don't even know what I'm going to say.
This is true. You don't know what you're going to say half the time, but it's okay. It really is okay. So for people that don't know anything about IWC, first of all, get out of the hole that you're living in. And two, the high stakes championship, the match is determined on the spot. And you shocked everybody this past Saturday as you went with a submission match. Nobody saw that from Hardcore Hooven.
Yeah, it was a unique situation, and that's what I love about it. So the IWC high stakes title, like you just said, the champion dictates the stipulation of the match, and that can lead to almost anything. And I think, I was really excited to bring the title back to court time over my shoulder, and have the opportunity to open a show the caliber of winner takes all with a championship match. And I know everybody was expecting something crazy out of me because that's what I do, but the honest truth is I'm tough, but I'm not dumb. And if I would get into a brawl or a hardcore fight with Jamie Jamison, the odds are not in my favor. So I chose the submissions match. What a lot of people don't know about me is I am a huge fan of submission wrestling, and I think I picked the right stipulation because here I am a few days later, still high stakes champion.
Yeah, you are, and congratulations on that legitimately big win over Jamie Jamison. And without giving it all away, Mr. Hooven, what are you looking into next? I mean, are we going to get a little bit crazy? Are you going to have like an Asian death match? Are you going to have anything like that?
Oh, I don't know. I think that depends on what mood I'm in that day, who I'm facing. A lot of things can come into play with that, but I like to get crazy. I have some tricks up my sleeve. That's what I love about it. Depending on who my opponent is, that's going to depend what the stipulation is. But trust me, if I could convince Justin Plummer to facilitate a Taipei death match, we'd be opening every show with one of those if we could.
That would be amazing. All right, let's actually do what we do on the Spotlight and rewind all the way back to the beginning. Who got you into wrestling? Was it grandma, grandpa, mom, dad? Who said, Daniel, you need to watch this?
Probably a lack of any of them because it was a lack of parenting, I would say. No, they.
Oh, God.
I don't remember the exact moment, but I do remember. I was a 80s kid, growing up, late 80s, and I found the WWF Superstars on Sunday morning, and I was hooked. And the first thing I remember, which I think you'll hear this out of a bunch of people around my age, or around that time period, was when Macho Man got bit by the Cobra, by Jake the Snake. And I was like, oh my God, this is real. This is happening. And fell in love with it for a long time. I would say the Macho Man, cable TV got me into wrestling.
Okay.
And then, ironically, public access cable brought me back into it. After a while, I would watch it casually, but it wasn't really my thing. And then on WGTW 48 in Philadelphia, I discovered some small independent company called ECW, and I was, since then, absolutely hooked. Seeing Tommy Dreamer, Sandman. Later on, I was really big into Bam Bam and Taz's feud, just the gritty presentation. So, I would say Macho Man and Tommy Dreamer, a little bit of two very different people, got me into wrestling.
Yeah, slightly different. Did you hate Shane Douglas right off the bat because Pittsburgh and Philadelphia hate each other?
So it's funny. I never knew that Pittsburgh and Philadelphia had a rivalry until I moved out here. You know, I knew a few people that had come from Pittsburgh, but you know, I'm a Philadelphia sports fan, and we don't really have a lot of issues with the Pittsburgh teams. You know, I'm not a Flyers fan, so I know the Penguins don't like them each other, but you know, Philadelphia football, we don't care about the Steelers. I mean, it'd be cool to see a Super Bowl. I mean, we're more concerned with Dallas and the Giants. The Phillies, it was more about the Mets at the time. But Shane Douglas, I hated him because he was an amazing heel. I remember when he mouthed off to Taz and lost his title. That was insane. And I remember when Pitbull #1, I want to say, and I apologize if I misquoted that, but it came back in a halo because he had legitimately broken his neck. And Shane Douglas, you know, in the way that ECW was presented, got real and shook him down with the halo, and the crowd almost rioted. So, yeah, I hated him as a wrestler. I didn't know him as a person, but he did his job because I would just cuss him out under my breath watching the shows.
Yeah. Did you ever go back and watch any of the Dynamic Dude stuff with Shane Douglas? That was great, wasn't it?
I did actually. When I got the network and when I would get bored on YouTube, I would always ECW taught me that, like, and I was growing up, so I was, you know, obviously smarter then and knew what was going on. But it was the first time I realized, like, you know, these guys had previously worked for different companies under different names. So to see Chris Candido as Skip and the Body Don, as to see Shane Douglas and Johnny Laurinaitis running around, to even seeing, you know, Raven as Johnny Polo, made me kind of say, wow, you know, I get it. You know, they're different companies. Sometimes mean, you know, different. I hate to use words like this, but, you know, different gimmicks. But it was interesting.
Yeah, it was. So you didn't jump right into wrestling. Well, actually, let's not get there yet. Where did you do your training? Let's continue on the right path. Where did you do your training to become a wrestler?
So I originally went to a training school outside of Philadelphia in 2006, I want to say. No, I'm sorry, 2007. In 2007. At the time, it was a different, you know, environment in wrestling. I was transitioning from college into real life, so, you know, unfortunately, I lasted about a month and a half, and, you know, I was kind of told you're too small for this at that time, unless you were 6 foot or 250. You know, the schools were trying to make you be a manager or a referee. Not that there's anything wrong with that; it's just not what I wanted to do. And also, to be honest, I don't think I was in the right shape for it at that time. So I put that on a hiatus, but from a training standpoint, for all intents and purposes, you know, the Iron City Wrestling Academy, IWC's school, that's where I trained to make the jump.
And you had a lot of great trainers, and you've worked with a lot of great people. You've been in IWC, what am I saying, 8 years now?
Almost,
is that right?
Almost 4 years coming up in 2 months. It'll be 4 years since my debut.
Well, yeah, but you were also. This is where I was gonna get into. You were a photographer for a little bit of a time as well. You know, air quotes photographer. I don't know if you ever took a picture, for the love of God, but you were there.
Yeah, no, I did. So I was actually. I'm not sure. Like, I know we became friends throughout the past 2 years. I'm not sure. You know, when we started talking, but my first show that I took pictures at, and I am a legitimate photographer. I have a website, cheap plug for it. You know, if you guys anybody needs photos listening, just hit me up. But it was Night of Superstars with Goldust and Roddy Piper, and that was my first photography gig for pro wrestling at the time, and that was, I want to say, in 2012 or 2013. So I took, you know, I was a ringside photographer for about, you know, what is that, 3, 4 years at that point, because I debuted, you know, in January of 2016. So yeah, I took pictures for about 4 years for IWC, and they're, you know, all posted. I have a paper trail. It was legit.
Okay. No, you do take great pictures. I was just busting on you, and you were thrown right into the mix, and this upset our kids when your $1 million camera, $3 million camera, because if you would listen to Joe Dombrowski, it got more and more expensive throughout the months. Your camera was broken by the fraternity, and then your glasses were broken, and our kids were legitimately pissed at the fraternity. And that's who you had to debut against, right?
Yeah, that's correct. It was after they, the reset button selected me, and I was kind of thrown in there. The glasses smashed, had some water poured on me, and then they paddled the camera in half, and that was a legitimate camera. Yeah, it was. John McChesney came out to give me a hand, and I can't give enough credit to John. Not just in that feud and helping me get through that, but even before then until now, he's a good friend and a great mentor. So he went above and beyond to help me out.
He's one of your trainers as well as. Let's get back to that. Who did some of your training with you to get up to that point?
Yeah, so about a month out. John worked with me. I went up to Erie a few times. We filmed some things and worked together a little bit. Helped me really navigate a lot of things in the wrestling business. My actual trainers, if you want to say pen to paper trainers, I love kayfabe, so I wish I could say John trained me in 3 weeks, but that wasn't true. It was Chris LaRusso and Andrew Pallas, and Chris LaRusso is the head trainer, and he did a hell of a job. They put so much work into all of us, but especially, what they did for me and with me, and continue to help me train. I'm still there as much as I can be. It's spoiled. I'm spoiled by the amount of resources that were made available to me during that time with IWC.
Yeah, we make you guys break kayfabe every once in a while. We've brought up that Chris LaRusso is the head trainer at IWC, and as much as, get ready, because I'm going to get slack on this, he's a dick in the ring. He's a wonderful human being, and he does everybody at Steel City good. Look what he's doing, Johnny Patch and Man Dime, and we'll get to there. But, he is, bar none, one of the best in the business.
He is. I can't say enough about him. As a person, as a trainer, as a wrestler, he's one of the people that I will always ask to watch matches, will always ask for feedback. I can't put over enough actually how important he is to this generation of new wrestlers. You look around the area, whether it's Rise, Uprise, Prospects Pro, Black Diamond, IWC, Imagine, all those really great organizations, and you look on the list of the card and you say, hey, how many LaRusso kids are there? And there's a ton, and they're all, holding up their end of the deal.
They really are. They really are. Great plug for everybody else, too, as you can also throw in Gambino's Prospect as well, right? You're doing some work there.
Yeah. Prospect Pro. I think that's a really great thing. You see a lot of matchups that you don't, you kind of have your different organizations and they're all doing really well with great talent. And Prospect's kind of a place where younger guys can cut their teeth, veterans can come in and help and really, lead. Because I think, veteran leadership is very underrated. I think it helps out a lot of people, including myself, when we have it. But Marshall really is creating an environment for young wrestlers to be able to grow, learn, get better in a safe environment, and also put on quality shows that are family-friendly for the area.
Yeah, because everything needs to be family-friendly, because some of the other stuff, I know you listen to Jim Cornette every once in a while, what the hell does he say, the mudslinging outlaw things just aren't good for kids. We stumbled across IWC years ago now, and I would be afraid to bring my grandchildren there because, one, the Plumbers are great, the talent loves the kids, and it's a freaking great product.
Yeah, Justin, I've known him for years, and I think what is so great about him is that when he's putting together an event, when he's, evaluating talent and different directions to go, I think he asks himself a question that more people should is, am I proud to present this to not only our fan base, but to my family as well? If my kids were to come, would I be okay with them watching it? You know what I mean? Yeah,
exactly. So, all right. How much wrestling besides, watching the IWC network for only $9.99 a month? You can go back to all the way to 2013 now because Justin Plummer released that today. But how much other wrestling do you watch?
I go through phases. I actually was joking with somebody the other day. I turned on Raw last night, and I don't like bashing product. I feel like if I don't like something, I just don't watch it, Truth is, I'm busy, and sometimes when I come home, I just want to watch The Office or Cheers because I'm just, I just want noise in the background.
Good ones. Good ones. Oh, I won't disrespect.
But I turned on Raw and I was watching the Bobby Lashley Live thing. I actually loved it. I'm probably like the only one in the world that thinks it's entertaining. But I go through phases. You know, I watch a lot of the network. I think we're in a day and age now where we're almost spoiled because we have so much content at our fingertips. Because you remember what it was like if you missed Raw. You couldn't miss Raw. You couldn't miss SmackDown because you'd have to wait like 3 days later. I'm getting into AEW a lot because there's some really great people on there that are, succeeding, well-earned, well-deserved success on that national level. I'll watch it when it's on, whenever I'm in the mood. So it depends. I go through waves. It really wasn't a good answer, but it depends on what mood I'm in.
No,
I love watching ECW though, just for shits and giggles.
That's a great answer because you're not going to lie and say I watch it every day for 8 freaking hours. Then I rewind it and watch it again. You're being truthful. You'd rather watch Norm drink a beer or Michael Scott play Superman. That's fine.
And sometimes it's hard. It's like, I'm sure you're like this. We're all like this. Once you do something, you watch it and almost analyze it instead of just enjoy it. And I like to enjoy things. I'm a big, I think one thing you notice about me is I like to be laid back. I don't try to post or say angry things about, well, I don't like this company. This is all screwed up because, number one, who am I to say that? Number two, I'd rather just focus on things I like.
Right. No, and you know what, Dan? Actually, that's what we do with IWC. We love it so much that when we do our recap shows and we just bust you guys' chops because we have an interaction with all of you. We bust your chops. We let everybody know what IWC is doing. We don't really critique it like we rip apart Raw or SmackDown on here, but that's our safe haven. We have come to love everybody. So when we're there, we want to be marks and enjoy what you guys are doing for us.
I mean, we all are in some way. I always say that. We're all fans. That's how we all come together, whether we're, sitting in the seat together, whether we're in the ring, whether we're reffing, whether we're doing the video production. We're all fans of it, and that's what I think makes independent wrestling so fun for me, is that we all have the same love for professional wrestling.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So let's talk about some ECW for a while. I know you brought up, Tommy Dreamer's one of your favorites, but is there anybody that, besides Dreamer, because I think I'm putting Sandman with you a lot. I don't know why. You're not coming out smoking or drinking or anything, but I could see you swinging Singapore Cane. That's who I think you're more like than Savage or Dreamer.
Yeah, I love when I found the Singapore Cane. I was like, I just need to carry this with me. No rhyme or reason. I'm just like, ooh, I remember Sandman used to go crazy with it. So this is not a shock to most people, but Taz is probably my favorite wrestler of all time. His run in ECW I thought was amazing. I even think if you look at his run in WWE, he accomplished more than most people thought he would. He was the top-level heel for a while. For about 2 years, it was always him, The Rock, Stone Cold, and Benoit and Angle. Those were the main 5 guys for a while.
Yeah.
I love Taz because he brought something different. I know Paul Heyman said it, but it's true. They booked it so he had that big fight feel. Like he was an MMA UFC guy. Came in with the entourage. A lot of my moveset is actually from him. A lot of the suplexes I do. And also New Jack, just because I'm psychotic. I love New Jack. I thought he was great.
I don't know many people that, if you watch all New Jack stuff, if you're just learning who New Jack is, go back and watch the Mass Transit, go back and watch any of that. I don't know anybody that takes prestige saying that you love New Jack because of that.
Well, I love the character and his matches. What he did sometimes in the ring is not appropriate, and that's not cool. But actually, if you go back and watch it when him and Mustafa were the gangsters in Smoky Mountain Wrestling,
yes,
they were actually, there was a different kind of thing, and I think he found his niche in ECW. But it's kind of funny, I joke with it. I'd rather go out there with a trash can, a chair, and a cane than go out and throw arm drags, although I can do both just fine.
You won a submission match this past Saturday, so hell yeah, you can. So you mentioned that you've known Plummer for a long time. Is that kind of why you went with IWC, because you guys are boys, or what's this knowing Plummer for a long time thing?
Yeah, no, we went to school. We went to school together. I've known him and Jenny since 2006. So we're, I've been friends with him now, for almost coming on 14 years. We pledged a fraternity together in fall of 2003. God, I'm aging myself. We're old as dirt. And,
Not as old as me.
You know how it is. Like you leave school and you don't really keep in touch with people, but we kept in touch. Ironically, what we really had in common was our love of pro wrestling. We actually went to an indie show in Butler in college. It was the only show him and I ever went to in college together, and it was Chuck Roberts was a ring announcer. Jimmy DeMarco was on there. Matt Morgan, and there was a match, and we said, man, this one guy, we were like mesmerized. We're like, man, this guy's going to be a star one day. And you know who that was wrestling up there in Butler?
DJ Z.
DJ Z.
How'd I know that? I knew that.
When he was Zima Ion, he put on a clinic up there at the Days Inn, all the way back then. And and then we just kept in touch. And when I moved back out here, we hung out a few times. We would usually try to catch a Raw together or something. Fantasy football, just we have a lot in common. And when I had expressed interest in, I actually knew Shane Taylor in college too, and I knew he was wrestling, and he actually, talked to me about some of the training programs. And at the time, I asked Plummer, hey, I'm trying to build my photography business. Do you think your wrestling organization at the time, who was owned by Chuck Roberts, could use a ringside photographer and let me kind of cut my teeth and, help me expand my portfolio? Because I feel like if I can, capture flying athletes, I can really hone my skills. And I was, granted the opportunity to do that. And Chuck Roberts, to his credit, let me come in. And, then one day he became the real owner of the company, and it was kind of from there. But, so I've known him for a while.
You guys, you said you were in a fraternity together. Any great fraternity stories, keg stands, anything that you can leak a little bit?
I was actually Shane Taylor was in the fraternity as well, with Plummer and me. It's just your typical college, your dumb college stuff. Plummer was always, him and I were actually usually the level-headed and responsible ones in the situation. So I think that can tell you a lot about the crowd we ran with.
Right. I don't. Plummer's never level-headed when I talk to him.
But no, he's just a fun-loving guy. He likes a good beer, likes to have fun, likes to make everybody around them happy. I do think him and I kind of love the fraternity for that reason. Even though they broke my camera and did stuff like that, we thought we related with them. But just your usual animal. Well, you know what? Ask Plummer about his trip to Canada next time you see him, and I think you'll get a good laugh out of that.
All right, I will. I completely agree. I see you and Plummer being myself and Pat Lano. We've known each other for 30 years, and we are children to this day.
That's the only way to be.
Right? So there's some other things in your life that some people might not know, that you are a big TV star. Yeah. I worked in TV for a little bit. We can dive into that for like a quick minute if you want to. Yeah, you won Emmys and Grammys and everything, right?
Oh yeah. So yeah, long story short, I did some work in the reality television field for a few years actually. I was featured on a show called Paranormal Challenge on the Travel Channel back in 2012. If you're familiar with Ghost Adventures of Zach Bagans, which anybody in the paranormal community is, he hosted a reality show where two teams in every area would compete to find the best evidence of paranormal activity, which is kind of saying, that's kind of hard, unless you capture a ghost in the containment unit with a proton pack, you're not really proving it. But, it was basically you got invited to go hunt ghosts on cable. Myself and my two friends won the series premiere, and we thought that was it. It was cool. It was a cool experience. It was really exciting. And then the casting agent that had worked with us got some good feedback on us, and he said, hey, Sci-Fi is casting for a show about haunted college campuses, and I know you and my other friend went to college together. Like, do you have any stories? I'm like, well, our fraternity house was haunted, and they loved that. And ironically, Justin Plummer was involved in that, and so was Shane Taylor as well. They were in the fraternity during this haunted house. So if you Google sci-fi school spirits, frat house phantom, you'll get the commercial on YouTube. But we did a testimonial show about our haunted fraternity house, in which Justin Plummer is the one that we blame for causing the trouble, because one night he went up and cut a promo on a ghost called Sam Mohawk. And ever since then, things got out of control. It's probably the best promo he's ever cut. He's very angry and scary, Plummer, not the ghost.
Oh, I was hoping so.
And then, so after that, though, what I was doing the whole time is my friend and I had a YouTube series that we were trying to sell to companies, and we just were doing it, hand to mouth, just organically. And we signed a deal with the Biography Channel, and then had a show called Haunted Encounters Face to Face on the Biography Channel for a short run. It was only 6 episodes, but, it was cool. We visited some pretty haunted places, the Black Dahlia Murder House, Lizzie Borden, Eastern State Penitentiary, a lot of cool places, and we did that, for a little bit. And then the show got canceled, and I came home, and I ended up back in Pittsburgh and taking pictures at IWC. So yeah, I did about a 3-year period as a third-tier cable TV personality / lead investigator to find dead people.
Did you have any, and I probably know the answer to this, but did you have any training for this? I mean, what really, not being the megastar that you are, but I mean the ghost hunting thing, is there training to that?
I mean, there is, but at the same time, it's, one thing I always kind of stuck out in the sore thumb, because, you'd have people that were in the paranormal that were like, you have to do it this way. This is the correct way. I'm like, you don't have no idea. You don't have any idea how to do it. It's all trial and error. Like, for me, the easiest way was just recording, and if you got voices, I mean, I won't lie, Mark, I would go somewhere, do an EVP, an electronic voice phenomenon session, ask questions to get responses out of thin air. Like, it's, something is out there. I don't think it's necessarily bad or as evil as cable plays it up to be. But, there's best practices. There's common sense things like don't fake evidence. There's different equipment, but I think there's room of error on it, because we don't know what we're actually, am I talking to an intelligent ghost? Is it a residual spirit? Is it energy? Is it a leaky pipe? So the only thing I have to say is you were trained how to disprove yourself, which was kind of fun.
It is really interesting. The little can crusher, Ethan, is very interested in this. I need to send him your way at the next show or after the show and sit down, or maybe at the Carriage Inn as we're all getting loaded. Ethan can chat with you about this, because this is interesting. You've said some of the places that he wants to go, but Dad is a giant wuss. I would shit myself if anything says, "Hi, Mark. I'd be gone. See you later."
I've been threatened by good. Yeah, no, I'd be happy to speak to him about it. But yeah, I've been all over the country, and that was a really cool experience. So, from the paranormal television industry to pro wrestling, it's been a fun. I enjoy my life.
Yeah, you are kicking ass in life. Photography, wrestling, and paranormal. You're just out there. You really are. But let's get back to wrestling. This past week, it all started Saturday night. I saw it firsthand. You were checking out the dime piece, and Elijah didn't like that. Man Dime did not like that, and it got a little heated on Facebook. Where's this going?
Well, wherever Elijah Dean wants it to go. I'm just trying to be a gentleman. I've never seen a real man not open the door for a lady, not give them their jacket when they're cold, and I don't like how the Man Dime, treats the dime piece. I think she should have a real name. So, Elijah seems to run his mouth a lot, but he ends up on his back a lot. And I would say that if he keeps running his mouth on me, that result's not going to change.
No, I agree. You would be perfect for the dime piece, as you are a gentleman. You would give her, the shirt off your back if you ever wore a shirt. I would. I actually thought originally I liked Elijah Dean. He was brash. He was cocky. Kind of reminded me of a little bit of a younger version of myself before I was put in my place, deservingly so. And I think maybe he just sometimes that little chihuahua yips too much, and then pisses off the bigger dog. Right. Well, all of a sudden, Who Let the Dogs Out just popped in my head. Thanks, Hooven. Thanks. I don't know why. So what else is up with Hooven? Really, where else are we going? What is your next goal? I mean, you're a champion. Do you want to make it to the reset button and see what is going to happen? Because all titles are defended at the reset button in January. Do you want to maybe, since you are champion now, and I know you said, maybe throw your name into the Super Indy because you're just getting better?
Well, I appreciate that. I think where I'd like to go is I would love to make it to Reloaded. We're not past December yet, and I try to stay focused. I think, RC was looking ahead to his big celebration, and look what happened. He's not celebrating. I would love to, just for the fact that I'm a big fan of kind of like things coming full circle. And how much more full circle would it get for my career for me to walk in the Reloaded with the championship and actually have to see what the reset button brings me, even though, brings me, because it brought me into the business, into the ring. And you never know. I mean, I love Reloaded. You never know who's going to show up. You never know, and that's what's so exciting about it. But, one big thing that's important for me is to make the high-stakes championship title. I'm focused on that. I'm focused on making it important. I'm focused on being a defending champion, and I'm focused on, I really believe that the person makes the championship, not vice versa. So, my goal is just to continue to get better and better and better. I think, this past year was real rough for me. I kind of didn't have a lot of direction. Opportunities were scarce because we have such a loaded roster. And, I'm really proud of the fact that through hard work I was able to earn some opportunities. And now here I am, with a championship on the marquee, heading into the, one of the biggest events of the year, and hopefully elevate those around me that get to contend for the title. And even, one day if somebody contends for it and beats me for it and wins it, I'll shake their hand, as long as it's not the Man Dime or RC.
Yeah, neither one of those would be good. Hooven, one more question about your career, then I have a few questions about IWC for you, is if you ever had the opportunity to travel to Japan to wrestle, because I know it's a big dream for a lot of wrestlers, and you keep saying you're old and this and that and this and that, but there's other people that we talk to that are much older than you or they're getting the shot at the first time they go to Japan. Would this be something you'd look into?
Yeah, I think anybody would. That would be an absolute honor. One of my close friends outside the ring, and really I consider him, a mentor and how to navigate a lot of things, is Marshall Gambino, and he wrestled in Japan. I think it would be really cool if I could, even if I know he's, retired from in the ring at IWC, but, I would love to go over there with him. I mean, he's been there before, kind of get a feel for it a little bit. I joke with him sometimes. He knows the Asian culture more than I do because I came over when I was like a month old. It would be an honor to go, anywhere like that. It would just be something that I could, be really proud of, regardless of, whether it was a successful opportunity or not, it was still an opportunity that was presented.
You could also travel with, like, Ray Lynn. Ray Lynn goes over twice a year anymore. She would be a hoot to go over with, don't you think?
Yeah, she's one of my favorite people inside and outside the ring. I know her decision-making is not great lately with the whole Calvin thing. I don't even know how he's still around.
Because he looks good. He looks good every time, Hooven. Stop that. He is a classy dresser.
I will smack him. Every event there's extra security because Plummer knows that I legitimately want to just, like, smack him in the face. But I would love to go with Raylan. She's awesome. She's one of my favorite people. Positive, full of energy. She is a friend of the Orient.
She is a friend of the Orient. She really is. And she is a wonderful human being as well. All right, let's dive in about IWC because, like I said, you've been there long enough that you're tenured in IWC from owner to owner. And what a huge difference from actually when we started coming 6 years ago to now. It is just blown up to be one of the hottest companies on the East Coast, and you're part of that. Yeah, that blows my mind. I look around and I see where Justin Plummer has really brought IWC as a wrestling company, but as a brand. I think
he is really keen on social media, understanding that we have to embrace the digital era, understanding that the fans today, even though the fans today want different things, and I think that's awesome because you get more variety. I'm proud to play a very small role in that. Every time I get to go out there and perform and compete in an IWC ring, I think it's one. I consider myself one of the luckiest people in the world. But also, I think he's instilling a lot of value that you're seeing reflected. To be appreciative of the fans, to give 110%, to make the most of your opportunity. And as we continue to grow, I think as wrestlers and as a company and as a family in that sense, the crowd's growing because they know that we're all in on something really special right now.
Yeah, folks, if you don't know, IWC is linked to pretty much all the big ones. You have, I'll break it so you don't have to. You have Justin Labarde linked to the WWE. You have Shane Taylor that knows both you and Plummer, ROH. You have this Britt Baker and Wardlow that are now at AEW, this upstart business that nobody knows anything about. And now you have the IWC Tag Team Champions are actually from Impact, the North. So everywhere, IWC is in your face.
Yeah, it's amazing. It really is, and I think you're going to see more of the stars take off. It's amazing to see where IWC is now, and then to think where it could keep going. I mean, we just launched the IWC Network, which gives archives back to 2013. I think everything about it feels really special. Like, it's so exciting to be just a small part of that.
Yeah. All right, Hooven. Anything else you want to say? You want to give more plugs about your websites or what else you're doing or anything like that?
No. I'm glad you had me on. Just continue to support IWC and support all wrestling. I think that's the thing. Once again, I like to enjoy things for what they are. There's a lot of great wrestling, a lot of great talent, not just in the Western PA area, but all over. I think it's an exciting time to be a wrestler, and I just appreciate everybody always, supporting IWC and myself, however you guys support it, doing what you do, because without you guys, we're just a bunch of people in underwear and nobody to watch.
Nice. Tell everybody that is just finding out who Dan Hooven is, that might be in Iowa or Shelby, Indiana, or wherever the hell they're at, how they can follow you on social media and find some of your stuff.
Yeah. So I'm on social media. I don't use it as much as I should, but it's probably for the better. I'm on Twitter at Daniel Hooven. Same thing at Daniel Hooven on Instagram. And on Facebook, if you just search for Dan Hooven, you'll find me. Currently, I'm the IWC High Stakes champion, and I will be competing in a tournament in December at the 1-year anniversary of Prospect Pro Wrestling for their tag team tournament as well, for their tag team championship. So another great opportunity. A little bit nastier there, a little bit more aggressive there, so maybe that will play there. But I'm always happy to connect. I mean, we talk all the time, Mark. I'm always happy to talk at shows and just get to know everybody, because at the end of the day, we're one big family.
We are. We really are nerds together, marks together. We love the business. Your IWC show is December 7th. It's the second annual Pittsburgh Classic. I don't know the date of the Prospect one. Do you know that offhand?
I should, but I don't. But let me just look. So we're actually 1 week after. So you have the IWC Pittsburgh Pro Classic 2 on the 7th in Pittsburgh, and then in Leechburg, Prospect Pros having our 1-year anniversary show. We're actually going to be crowning our first ever heavyweight and tag team champions at the Leechburg Elks Club on the 14th. And a really cool thing is, and we're going to announce as soon as I'll give you an early scoop, is that there's going to be a discounted ticket if you bring a toy. We're going to be using that to do Toys for Tots to help bring some underprivileged kids some Christmas cheer this year. That's at Prospect Pro.
That's yet another reason to go to an indie event, because they give back all the time. They always do. Everyone across the board, from anyone that you've mentioned earlier at Prospect, IWC, Imagine, they all do that, so that's awesome.
Like I said, without the community, it's one big family. That's how I look at it.
All right, Hooven, I know you have to go eat some steak and eggs or do some steaks and weights or just go to the gym or wherever the hell you're doing next?
Surprisingly, we'll be going to the gym to lift weights. There's a shocker, right?
Right? You're such a nerd. All right, Hooven. Thanks for coming on Can Crushers. You'll be on again, I'm sure, to dive into some more stuff.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Mark. I appreciate it.
Where do we start? Where do we start after that interview? Do we start that Dan Hooven has won Grammys and Emmys and is, going to get a star on the Walk of Fame because he's a movie star, a TV star, a reality star, just a mega star? Or do we start by saying, Dan Hooven, checking out the dime piece? I like the whole checking out the dime piece. I check out the dime piece all the time as well. So there's just so much with Hooven going on. He is your current IWC high stakes champion. Guys, go out and support IWC 1. They are the greatest organization, out there. They're making things happen in Pennsylvania. You hear us talking all the time. Elias has come through. He was trained there. AJ Styles, CM Punk, the list can go on and on. Justin and Jenny Plummer are taking IWC and running with it. And make sure you subscribe to IWCnetwork.com for only $9.99 a month, as you'll see us half the time in the front row, in the second row, in our own third created row, doing whatever. But you support people like Dan Hooven and even the Man Dime that we're talking about. It's just indie wrestling doing it right. And Dan Hooven, what a great guy. He is always one to make sure to come up, shake your hands. We're huggers, so we always get a hug. Make sure he takes time with the kids. Just so much greatness is within Daniel Hooven. So, Dan, I know you're going to listen to this, critique this, and say, Mark, why do you have a frog in your throat? Because it was cold as hell this morning, Dan, and I think I'm getting sick, and the wife hasn't brought me home orange juice yet. That's why I sound like crap. But we need to get this out today, and we are. So, again, thanks to Dan Hooven. Thanks to all the IWC rosters that puts up with our shenanigans all the time. Justin and Jenny Plummer, we love you. And to Can Crusher Nation, if you want to hear more interviews like this, send us some emails at cancrusher69@gmail.com telling us, hey, grab Andrew Palace. Why don't you grab R.C. Dupree? Why don't you bring Jackson Argos back on, or Jack Pollock? Or, we can talk to these guys and have them come on. We don't want, like, Jock Sampson, but we'll have them. We love having people like that. So nonetheless, even if it's in your area of Shelby, Indiana, maybe you want Dylan Bostic. Maybe you want to hear from Jay Lee again. You guys just know where I'm going with this. Reach out to us. We are also on Facebook and Instagram at CanCrusher69 on both of them. Head over to our website, cancrusher69.wixsite.com/CanCrushers. Find us. We're everywhere. Send us a note, and we'll reach out to the wrestler that you want to hear from and see if we can work something out. We love it. And if you're a wrestler listening to this, do the same thing. Say, hey, jackasses, I want to be on Can Crushers as well. Get me on. I want to promote myself. I want to tell you how much I hate Man Dime, or I hate Jackson Argos, or that I want a piece of the dime piece. Anything like that. Or if the dime piece wants to come over, we'll come to you. We'll come to you to make sure that we get a proper interview with the dime piece. All right, guys. Again, thanks for everything. We always have fun. Dan Hooven, thank you. We will see you real soon. Remember, just because you're trash doesn't mean you can't do great things. It's called a garbage can, not a garbage cannot.